When Gloria Pritchett from Modern Family said, "Do you even know how smart I am in Spanish?" Of course you don't. That resonated with me. That broke my heart. As someone who grew up in the Philippines and for more than half his life spoke Tagalog mainly. English, we learned it in school, we spoke it in school. It was more a formal language than anything, so it felt very manufactured. I translated it to Tagalog. Alam mo ba kung gaano ako katalino sa Kastila? Malamang hindi mo alam. Filipinos will say you should have used Espanol instead of Castilla. Hindi naman nila maintindihan yan. So, okay lang. I make this joke from time to time when I'm speaking with my English only speaking friends, basically everybody outside of my family. My Filipinos coming out to other Filipinos, they get that it's an actual thing. We think in different manners when we think in Tagalog or in English or another language, right? It's a different personality altogether. It's not DID, right? Or dissociative identity disorder or bipolarness. It's literally just a different way of thinking. If you're fluent in two languages or more, you're not just looking into a specific culture. You're looking in a different set of circumstances to stitch together words. And a lot of people don't understand that. The mother of my previous crush from years back, Michelle, once told me that my voice sounded very different when I spoke in Tagalog to my mom versus when I spoke in English to them. And I told her, "Are you sure it's not just because I was speaking to my mom? Or maybe because Tagalog is just spoken that way? Maybe it's the other parts of my mouth are activated for specific words in English." I'm not mocking her. I'm just making faces because it's funny. I thought it was funny. It was a fond memory. I didn't know that was the case. So if you are a multilingual person, do you actually speak in another voice? Depending on like what language you speak, you change your voice. So I'm gonna start speaking in Tagalog, and then you just let me know in the comments down below if it actually sounds different. Hindi ako maglalagay ng subtitles para hindi rin nila maintindihan kung ano sinasabi ko. Kasi mas masaya yung gano'n, hahanapin nila tayo. Kapag hindi nila alam yung sinasabi ko, lalo na wala namang AI na nagtatranslate ng Tagalog, wala pa, man. I don't know why, wala pa. Maghahanap sila ng mga Pilipino. Para maintindihan nila yung sinasabi ko. That's how I sound in Tagalog. So let me know if you hear the difference or if you don't. And then we get to those problems where you have the perfect word but it's in another language. There's literally a lot of words in English that are not in Tagalog or vice versa. I'll give you an example. The word awkward cannot be translated from English. The closest you can get from awkward based on ChatGPT, a weird feeling, uneasiness. It's not a direct translation. You need multiple words to say that. And it's the same with Spanish. When you say te amo, the literal translation of te amo is I love you, but apparently te amo is way different from I love you than I love you. There's something that's lost in the essence of translating that into English, right? Te amo apparently is with all of your soul, with all of yourself. Like it's a much deeper meaning. For Tagalog, I'll give you an example. There's no such word in English for kilig. In ChatGPT, it says giddy with excitement or butterflies in the stomach or a romantic thrill or a heart-fluttering feeling. That's what it says on my other screen right here. But essentially, there is no direct translation for that. And it's such a very perfect word in Tagalog. It captures the excitement that you feel when your crush texts you, the first excitement that you feel when there's a romantic interest in something, or even like a non-romantic interest. Like if it was, for example, let's say, um, no, it's mostly romantic. It's really, really romantic. It's definitely something that you relate with, that you get goosebumps from, right? And you kind of empathize with that. But there's no translation for it, at least not in English. There's also the word po in Tagalog or po. It's literally just that word po. And we insert that in every sentence to whoever we respect. It's kind of the same as senpai in Japanese. It's something that you attach to a name or to a sentence, and that sentence immediately becomes respectful to the person you're speaking to. So, for example, if I say, "Kamusta ka na po? Matagal na po tayo hindi nag-uusap." That's literally me saying, "How are you po? It's been a long time since we spoken po. It's a sign of respect, right? People who are much older than us, or maybe people who are in positions of power, like the president or a senator or your boss, or priests, because most Filipinos are Catholics. Priests are an authoritative figure to us. And I don't know if it's because English just doesn't have that word, it's built that way, or maybe low key Americans are disrespectful. I don't know. There's also another term or a set of terms, tito, tita, ate, kuya. Those are titles before a name, or even it can replace it completely. So, for example, kuya is literally big brother. So Kuya Jason, or Kuya, just Kuya would be big brother. When you're saying that to someone that's older than you, that's what you say, right? As a sign of respect. So, for example, the mother of your crush would be tita or auntie in English. And if you say their first name without any honoraries like that, it's just flabbergasting for me. It took me a while to adjust to that, like to be able to say, "Hey, Michelle, how's it going?" In my head, I was just like, oh my gosh, you're disrespecting your crush's mother. I am much funnier in Tagalog than I am in English. And it is so frustrating that I'm not able to explain that perfectly. But if I spoke to someone who understands both English and Tagalog, our conversations would be like 10 times funnier, because then we would just be explaining things in both English and Tagalog, like literally inserting different languages within the same sentence, and it would be grammatically correct, at least in our brains, like combining both English and Tagalog grammar into one sentence. I'm highly critical of other people as well who are native English speakers, because when they make mistakes, I'm confused. Why are you making mistakes in your own language? You have one language and you can't even spell decisive or decision or reprieve or what have you. Like, I don't understand. Like, why can't you say these things? This is very basic. You are much older than I am. You've lived here longer than I've been alive. And I don't know if it's because there's an overemphasis of learning English in other countries, or learning another language in other countries versus here in the US. But spelling mistakes and grammatical mistakes are just confusing to me for people who only speak English. However, I will be the first person to admit I actually make a lot of grammatical mistakes. This is not an excuse, but it is a perfectly valid reason why I make those mistakes. Very simple explanation. I was thinking in Tagalog when I said that sentence. Literally, that's the only reason. It just blends. I can't even tell you how seamless it is in my brain. Running two computers in one screen, like a Mac here and then a Windows on the other screen. You'll be watching two TV shows, like one's drama, one's comedy, on the same TV. Like picture in picture mode, that's literally what's happening, like in my brain. Imagine it's much worse for people who have more than two languages. It's not a switch that you just flip and then everything will switch to Tagalog or everything will switch to English. It's not that simple. So that's part of the reason that I make grammatical mistakes. Most of the time I can shut that down. Again, coming back to where I say my Filipino's coming out, that is so real. If you combine two languages or more, they would be grammatically correct in both languages. But if you only read that in one language, it would be completely wrong. Whether it's Tagalog or English, it would be grammatically incorrect, 100%. But if you combine both, it would make perfect sense. For the people who are multilingual, I am sure, I'm 100% sure you know what I mean. I'm sure most of us have been in situations where we had two or three or more friends that were in the same circle or the same conversation, and they start speaking in a different language, and then you don't understand that language. For me, that's Spanish. I understand some Spanish, but I'm most definitely not fluent in it. Whenever my friends would start speaking in Spanish or other languages that I don't understand, I would be like, huh, I don't know what's going on. I certainly do that with my mom. right? Like when I am speaking with my mom, I speak to her in Tagalog. I will not speak to her in English. That does not make sense. Her main language is Tagalog, and mine is also Tagalog. Her mother's main language is also Tagalog. So, again, there's no sense for us to speak in English. But when I have friends over, I have to speak in English because that person will feel out of place and will be completely left out of the conversation. And that's only ethical, right? That's only like common sense and courtesy. But like for multilingual people like us, like we have to recognize that. We have to be cognizant of like, oh, hey, we have to include people in this conversation because for all they know, we could be speaking about them, but we're not really. And actually, we have done that. I have had conversations where I would literally be speaking to my mom about this person right in front of us who has apparently not taken a shower for a long period of time. And we can literally smell them from afar, and the smell has lingered even though they've long since left the building. We regularly have conversations like that, but if we are friends, like we try not to do that out of respect. We try to be inclusive of the people that we speak with or the people that we're around and make sure that we don't ostracize people because all of a sudden they don't understand what we're saying. When I was in college, we had several exchange students from the US, and there was this one guy. We were part of this immersion trip where we went to a province or a rural area in the Philippines, and we would stay there for a night or two. I forget how long, but these were less fortunate people who don't really have access to like electricity or basic sewage or whatever. These were farmers essentially. His name was Jason. Our group, we were mostly bilingual. We both spoke English and Tagalog. Some of them were trilingual, speaking in Chinese as well. But for the most part, I don't know why it fell on me to be the translator for Jason. Whenever we had group discussions, I would literally be translating with them because they would all speak in Tagalog, and I'm like, bro, there's someone here who literally does not understand what you're saying. And I'm like, why, why are we doing this to him? Can we make sure that he understands what we're saying? And people took that for granted because everybody was just so used to speaking in Tagalog. But for the person who didn't understand Tagalog, that wasn't fair, and I felt that, so decided, I took it upon myself to speak English on his behalf, and he appreciated it, and we remained in contact for a few years. I think he's still in my LinkedIn contact or something, but he's a good guy, Jason. If you're watching this, hello. But yeah, don't ostracize your friends because of languages, and obviously you have to recalibrate. Whenever I switch from Tagalog to English and English to Tagalog, there's a short or long, sometimes very proportional amount of time that it takes for me to warm up to that language. So I would be very awkward whenever I would say something in English when I was already speaking in Tagalog for the whole day. Or vice versa. I can speak in Tagalog and then English pretty quickly, but to be able to speak it in a certain length of time, it takes me a while to get warmed up. Last but not the least is this quaint little event that happens whenever I hear Tagalog spoken in a sea of English speakers. I would hear it from a mile away. Like there's not even a question. I would hear it. That's someone speaking in Tagalog. Like not even like a full sentence, just like a word. Not even it's just a syllable. And I don't like there are English words that may sound Tagalog, but I know like there's such a huge flag when I hear it. It's there. It's out there somewhere. There's someone speaking in Tagalog. And I would immediately spot the Filipino out there in the sea of English speakers. There are moments where you hear that. I've asked this to my Spanish speaking friends and they said yes. When I hear someone speaking in Spanish, I immediately hear that from far away. Maybe because it's different, but at the same time, I think it's a little more because it's our first language. I could be wrong. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. For you monolinguals out there, this is just a video for you to understand what we multilinguals go through on a day-to-day basis. For multilinguals, Please comment down below what languages you speak. I would be very interested to see that. And for everyone, please have a great rest of your day. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you watch. Appreciate it. Have a great day.